talk about Serena Williams, the great Serena Williams has decided to evolve away from tennis. Now, whether that means she's retired or not, who knows? Because she didn't say she was retiring. She said she was evolving away. Now, we all know Serena Williams, the sister of Venus Williams, two of the greatest women's tennis players of all time, two of the greatest tennis players of all time. What I like to do is leave the men alone and leave the women alone. So when we're talking about the greatness of a woman, we don't need to be bringing in Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic. We don't need to bring those names in because we're talking about women's tennis. And women's tennis is a great enough standalone sport to appreciate these female athletes for what they do independently. And there has been no one in women's tennis quite like Serena Williams. When she was in her prime, she was a box office athlete. Now, I was talking about this the other day, and I mean, shout out to Stephen A. Smith, that's his phrase. But when you're talking about a box office athlete, in the 2000s, you got Floyd Mayweather, Kobe Bryant. Of course, LeBron James comes into the scene. We're talking about people who make you Tiger Woods, people who make you want to watch the sport, even if you have nothing to do with it, no interest in it, and you couldn't tell you who any other player was except for that one guy. Steph Curry is a modern day example of a box office athlete where everybody knows Steph Curry and everybody watches the Golden State Warriors play, even if you like basketball or not, because they got Curry. So when you're talking about Serena Williams, she was a box office athlete as a woman in tennis. And this is an interesting thing because most Americans aren't watching tennis. And of course, Serena Williams is from Compton. If you watch the King Richard movie, the movie that Will Smith won the award that caused them to slap the taste out of Chris Rock's mouth. If you watch that movie, you saw their upbringing, you saw the trials and tribulations that they had to overcome. But Serena Williams was able to bring in a whole demographic, African-American viewers, to watch her play, her and her sister, of course, but watching them play. On the male side, we haven't had many great African-American male players. I mean, we had James Blake, he was the bald dude with the headband, but when you're talking about the hierarchy of guys back in that era, James Blake wasn't on the table. Andy Roddick was good when it came to Roger Federer or, Rafael Nadal. He stood no chance against those guys. But on the women's side, we had ladies who were dominant and they made us tune in and watch. And that's what Serena's done. She's played in 1,000 matches. She's played in 1,000 matches. She has over 800 wins, 149 losses, 73 titles, 23 Grand Slams. If you look at the work that she's done during the Grand Slams, she's got 7 Wimbledon, 7 from the Australian Open. The French Open, you would say, is Serena's weak point. She's only won it 3 times, but then you have the U.S. Open there at 6 times. So when it comes to the Grand Slam, she's a versatile champion. She can get it done on all of the different surfaces because that's the most important thing in tennis. The Australian Open and the U.S. Open are hard courts, but the French Open is a clay court. So you get to slide around a little bit more. The ball bounces in different ways. And then, of course, Wimbledon is grass. So to be able to win multiple different times in all of these different venues shows you just how great an individual tennis player is, because you have guys like Rafael Nadal. He's the clay master. I mean, Venus Williams was pretty good on grass. There are certain tennis players that are specialists, but if you want to be an all-time great, you're going to have to learn how to play on all 3 surfaces. And Serena Williams has done that. And you look at her competition. I mean, there was Justine Henin. I remember that. Justine Henin used to be a bane in Serena Williams' existence because Justine Henin was solid and she knew how to play Serena. She let Serena beat herself and have those emotional breakdowns, what took her out of her game. And then you have, of course, her sister, Venus Williams. Venus was, in my opinion, a better player. Serena Williams was just her baby sister. And it just becomes awkward trying to beat your baby sister. But after a while, though, the torch was passed over to Serena. She became the better overall player than Venus was. But as far as competition, they'd have you to believe that Maria Sharapova was a rival of Serena Williams. Sharapova is a rival to Serena Williams like a grape is a rival to a boot. There was no competition there at all. I think Sharapova only beat Serena twice. So when you talk about competition, you talk about who Serena had to face in her career. She had a lot of tough opponents, but as far as rivals, I would say only Justine Henin and Venus Williams could call themselves rivals to Serena. Serena Williams has done a lot of great things in her career on and off the court. I mean, you can agree or disagree with a lot of the decision making that she's made. She's now a mom. She's a wife. So at this point in her late 30s, early 40s, and we're watching this now with Tom Brady. You know, he recently retired, then he came right back out of retirement. You got Kobe, you know, he had the farewell tour, even though he was kind of past his prime. You could argue 2 or 3 years before the farewell tour. You know, Floyd Mayweather is gone now. He's not the TBE only in spirit now, but he's only doing exhibition matches. And here you have the Williams sisters as they phase away from tennis into whatever they do next. And it's been a pleasure to watch Serena Williams because, again, she was a box office athlete. So she always had to be a great player. So if Serena Williams wasn't number one, it's like, oh, why is Serena Williams struggling? If Serena Williams didn't make it to the final of every Grand Slam all year long, because there's 4 of them. For all you brothers that don't know out there, there are 4 major championships for tennis. And Serena Williams has done it to where she's won all 4 of those plus a gold medal in the same year, plus doubles with her sister. I believe that was in 2012. But Serena Williams has been one of the best athletes in American history. And again, this doesn't become, oh, well, is she one of the greatest athletes of all time? Because then you have to let the men into the chat, and we're not going to do that. So shout out to Serena Williams. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think that I'm right? Do you think that I'm wrong? Do you think that I'm missing some things? Be sure to subscribe. Check out my other videos if you're curious. Like on the way out. Peace.